There are much finer fields of creation up to the field of celestial life. So having established self as the absolute reality, an eternal, all-time reality, we then rise to find out if there is a greater reality, a better world of longer time and space, more of celestial nature, lying beyond this. And then the process which revealed us about the transcendental nature of our subject reveals to us before transcending a world of celestial beings. That is the glory of the waking state of consciousness. The expressed world of supreme relative existence, the celestial field of life, the world of God. The highest in the world of God is the Almighty Supreme Being, the Creator of all this. This is a systematic procedure for the revelation or direct contact with the Almighty God. What has been missing so far for ages? This location of the self. The God has been sought there and there and there and there, and always mind was put on the big creation and the creator of the big creation and all. Always far away from oneself. And without this point of reference within, the entire imagination about God and all these hallucinations, they didn't prove any real value to life. And that's why one didn't get contentment and satisfaction and didn't feel fulfilled. This has been the story of God realization all along the ages. The procedure, the first step to God realization is the location of the self, realization of the self. And when self-realization was not given any importance, then the first step was missing. When the first step was missing, any attempt for any higher step was just in vain and didn't prove to be any practical value. That's why the devotees of God could do nothing more than weeping in the nature. And that others saw a great sign of devotion. Weeping is not a sign of devotion. No. Completely false. It only amounts to blind leading the blind. Devotees never try to lead the world. But the way they behaved like that and like that, people in the world try to copy that. Trying to copy the weeping, miserable man, they got into misery more and all this in the name of God, simply because there was not any systematic scientific path to God realization laid out. It is the nature of this age, scientific age, that we can now aspire for highest realization in life on the scientific basis, which is a most secured way, free from any confusion and any failure. It's a systematic procedure. Transcendental meditation, experience of subtle state of the thought, experience of pure consciousness, momentary experience of pure consciousness. With practice, it becomes all-time experience of being. When it becomes all-time experience of being, we call it cosmic consciousness. One milestone has been laid. From this level, we start on devotion to God. Because on that level of cosmic consciousness, the heart is big and the mind is big. Heart, which is the main seat for devotion and surrender, it expands and becomes unbounded. Unbounded expansion of the heart alone, that ocean of love alone can rise in the waves, such high waves, tidal waves of love for God. which will really touch the feet of God. Without that unbounded expansion of the heart, the ocean of love is not full. Then whatever the current, whatever the waves of love arise, they don't set up that high wave which will really reach the land of God. No. So it is only from the level of cosmic consciousness that real bhakti begins, real devotion becomes significant. Before that, it's just a ritual without a meaning. If one has not realized the self, and thereby, if one has not gained that permanent state of being in cosmic consciousness, then thought of God consciousness is just a mirage. And it has been a mirage to the seekers of God for the last many generations. No one is responsible for it, just science. So it is the lack of scientific approach to the highest realization in life which actually begins with self-realization, that the generations have not seen the light of God. In life, they come to experience of some much higher, finer worlds of existence, and later on they do come to know the ultimate, almighty creator of the entire universe. Some people call him God. But eventually, in the systematic process of investigation about the different spheres of life, we do hit against some almighty in the relative field, whom we are prepared to call God. But there is no talk of God in the movement as long as one has not made permanent his own absolute reality to his own day-to-day life. As long as one has not made his own absolute reality of life a permanent feature of his day-to-day existence, so long he has no right to think of any other thing except himself. What to say of the creator of the entire big cosmos? We have to give an answer which will satisfy non-believers and believers. Because in the audience, not only that man is there are many more others. So we want to satisfy him, but we don't want to dissatisfy any of the audience. If in our enthusiasm of the absolute, we just say, no God, we think, then we have lost the whole game. Because majority will be lost. Therefore, we establish our scientific approach, and scientific approach is very childish type of approach, which does not accept anything which has not been witnessed. It's a childish approach. Only the children only believe which they have not seen, but that is scientific. A scientist doesn't believe what he has not seen, and that is that approach. Mechanical, childish, simple, natural, very clear, unfailingly convincing, that is scientific. But nevertheless, it's a childish approach. Doesn't believe what one has not seen. Very childish. But we are proud, when we say it is a scientific approach, we do mean it's very childish. Transcendental meditation is a childish approach. no intellect, nothing, very innocent, like that. It's purely mechanical, no, not much doing, it takes care of itself. Simple. So it's simple, it's childish, it's mechanical, it's real. So God has always been the victim of unsympathetic approaches, non-realistic approaches. The whole field of God realization was on faith. Faith means just blind imagination, nothing more than that. It is the experience in life that brings faith to a man on something that one experiences. And that experience can bring a man the belief of some future possibility. That is the basis, what we call faith. That is the basis of life. Faith is the basis of life. But just blind faith without any evidence of truth is just hallucination, imagination. It's highly deceptive. So I have to, it doesn't belong to anyone of us here who is not satisfied with his own feelings. In 1 or 2 days, we will start on checking. But before that, you must be set on that. So, any other question regarding the checking? Now, it's probably because we are on a different phase now. The whole feeling has changed at that. No, even tomorrow you can put right out. You can just test it. You will find it easy. But because now I have asked to lay emphasis on writing, and so the mind is there. Not the activity, the whole trend. And when it is 2 hours, you feel, now I should do this. It just, you can test it tomorrow, right? You say 6 hours, you sit. You will go on easily 6 hours. There won't be any difficulty. There won't be any difficulty. Because the mind has tasted that good composer for 2 or 3 days, how nice it is, and one could get into that easily. There won't much problem. But because when you have set yourself as 2 hours a day, maybe even in 1.5 hours, some beautiful ideas for lectures keep on coming, and you can't restrain, you must write. So that's the different thing. It's good. And now you feel there's some very useful ideas crop up very easily. Does it happen? Some useful ideas come out easily. That is the significance of longer meditation. That the common level of thinking becomes deep. Common, normal, usual level of thinking gets so deep. So that has been accomplished for 4 hours. Generally, the question arises in the minds of very sincere people, particularly in the minds of the leaders of our movement in different parts of the world, as everyone is so sincere to help. But always one feels that the question arises whether I am capable of teaching and whether I am qualified to teach and whether I am doing justice to myself. देखो बंद करो, कहना कि 15-20 मिनट बंद हो जाओ, नहीं तो दूर जाके वहाँ जो सब दूर पड़े हों उनको sincere to myself in teaching what I myself don't know completely. It's a very natural question in the minds of